I can't get over how the mainstream media, the Bidens and the rest of the Democratic Party are really trying to normalize everything. First, they're hiding it, denying it happens, and then when it's finally everywhere, they're like, well, but that's no big deal. It is a big deal because you don't see this type of behavior outside of countries like Venezuela or China or Russia. It's insane. A president or vice president making political moves around the world that coincide with their families making millions in the same places. It is not normal. It is not American. I don't care how they try to spin it. That behavior cannot be normalized. Check this out. Tell me this is normal. Back in March, the House Oversight Committee produced bank records that revealed multiple Biden family members were receiving shady payments from China. Bank subpoenas reveal that less than 2 months after Biden left the White House in 2017, he did business with a Chinese company. Now, I love this. This wonderful little Chinese company wanted to do some business. It's an energy company, State Energy HK. They've wired just $3 million to Robinson Walker LLC. Oh no! First, we have to go to the Shell Corporation. Here's what the real money is coming from. It goes to this Shell Corporation, and then it goes to this guy, Rob Walker. Well, who the heck is Rob Walker? Well, Walker LLC is a limited liability company in Delaware. At the time of the wire transfer, Rob Walker's business account had $159,000 in it. And then overnight, $3 million from a Chinese. What does he do? What is that LLC? The very next day, Robinson Walker wired $1 million to a company associated to a business partner of Hunter Biden named James Galar. So now he gets a third. Again, do we know what? We know he's an attorney, so he probably can't say anything, right? I don't know what he does. Because he's getting a third of the money. Okay, so the Chinese government, through a Shell Corporation, takes money and gives it to him. He takes a third of it and gives it here, and then the rest of it comes here. Over the next 3 months, Walker would send incremental payments to multiple Biden family members in their country and their companies. Of course, you had Hunter, and then you got James, and then you have Hallie, and then you have the mysterious Biden we don't know. Now, does any of this sound legitimate at all? Because what are these people? What have they done for this energy company? You might say, well, he's an expert of energy because he was in Ukraine. But what about these three? Why did this Chinese company, first of all, use a pass-through company to disperse the funds incrementally over several months? Why was it done just a couple of months after Joe Biden left office? And if Hunter didn't share any of this money with anyone else, who's the mysterious Biden? Is this the way we do business in America? No, I'll tell you how we do business in America. It's a lot different than that. You don't have a shell company. You just have a company, okay? There's nobody secretly behind the company. And then if you want to do business with that company and that company wants to do business, it pays you, okay? Very clear. You pay me, I'll do this. What this is these people have the money. These people hire these people to do, and then it's laundered through all kinds of other companies and banks. Now, let me take a step back for a second. This doesn't sound normal. So imagine you're a very powerful person. let's say the vice president of the United States. Maybe you have aspirations to run for president. But life is so expensive. You've got a bunch of kids, including one specific kid that's always seemed to be in trouble. You've also got a ton of grandkids, one you won't even recognize. None of this is cheap, mind you. You've never really held down a job anywhere, okay? Because that's not what you do. You've been in public service. How do you amass a ton of money without anyone knowing it? How do you get around the oversight of you and your wife's financial information? That's tough. Let me spitball for a second. So you'd have your problem child. If it was me, this is exactly what I would do. You'd have your problem child and maybe even your brother who exist outside the financial oversight. Do a deal in a country where you might have political influence in. Influence either today or possibly in the future, but you'd have to be careful. You'd have the main company you're dealing with use one of their subsidiaries or maybe even one of their shell companies. And the funds would go from the main company, then to the shell, then on through a pass-through. You know, somebody that you could really trust, and it would be good if they were an attorney so they could never testify against their client. And there's always close family business associates that help with these kind of deals. So you compensate, let's say, a third of the total take to them. And then you set up a series of payments from the pass-through lawyer to various family members. Again, people that exist outside official oversight. Now, I don't know if this is legal. I'm pretty sure it's not, but it doesn't even sound ethical. Have you ever heard of business deals working this way that were legitimate? This is exactly what the bank records revealed back in March. But maybe this is a one-off. They don't do this all the time. I mean, this would be very complicated. You know what I mean? You can't just... This just looks shady. So is it possible this one deal was so shady looking because the Chinese just do business differently? Sure. Okay. All right. Maybe that's possible. Sure. Don't think it is. But sure, maybe that's possible. Let's look at that. Okay. But last week, what just happened? Last week, the House Oversight Committee released even more information. And you're not going to believe the system they put. They amassed over $10 million from foreign companies, okay? The Biden family created a web of over 20 companies, mostly limited liability, with the majority of them created while Joe Biden was vice president. Many of these companies, in fact, I think all but 3, have no employees, no product, no sales, nothing. They're just companies. So either the Bidens suddenly discovered their business genius, with these companies that don't do anything, right after Joe Biden became vice president, or it's something else. What could it be? Well, the bank records that we just got revealed that not only were the Bidens receiving shady payments from China, not only were they doing it in Ukraine, but also now a businessman in Romania. Now, you see, this is interesting to me. Remember how Biden was focusing so heavily on corruption in Ukraine? Well, he was doing this while Hunter was being placed on the board of Burisma. Now, we know how that went. But it seems he was also doing the same thing in Romania. He traveled to Romania in May 2014, specifically to combat corruption. Watch.
Corruption is a cancer that eats away at a citizen's faith in democracy, diminishes the instinct for innovation and creativity. Already tight national budgets crowding out important national investments. It wastes the talent of entire generations, scares away investments and jobs, and most importantly, it denies the people their dignity.
Now, I agree with all of that, but I don't think He and his family actually do. And a lot of people in Washington, I don't think, believe that. In September of 2015, the Romanian president traveled to the White House, where he spoke to Joe Biden specifically on, quote, anti-corruption efforts and rule of law as a means to strengthen national security and promote greater investment and economic growth. Well, yeah, economic growth, but I mean, not for the little people. You see, Hunter Biden got a brand new client. Yeah. His new client was this guy. Love this. Romanian businessman. Okay. He contacted Hunter Biden after being charged with, you'll never guess, corruption. Corruption. It's crazy. Crazy. So he had the money and then he had the pass-through corporation here, and then they gave it to an attorney. I mean, it makes total sense, right? I mean, if you are a low-level, I don't know, crack dealer, you want somebody to, take care of you because you crashed your car. Everyone knows you better call Saul. Everyone knows if you're facing multiple years in federal prison for corruption and Joe Biden is chummy with the president, everyone knows better call Hunter. Within 5 weeks of Joe Biden's meeting in the White House, the payments began flowing from the Romanian businessman through his company based in Cyprus. Yeah, the one on the board. Because that's where all legitimate businesses are based, in Cyprus. And guess who they went to? Yeah, to Joe Biden's family. Now let's see if the process is familiar at all. The Romanian company, Bladen Enterprises, began wiring $3 million to a familiar name, Robinson Walker, the same exact pass-through that we had before. Well, look, it's exactly the same so far. And like with China, Walker then sent a third of that money to James Galar. What does he do? Multiple other payments were then sent to Hunter and James and Hallie and the grandkids. Well, the grandkids are doing a lot in Romania. Don't make fun of them. Those grandkids are all over that issue in Romania. Then the mysterious Biden again, and then the Biden family LLCs. It's not normal. I don't think this is the way business is legitimately conducted. And it's a pattern. Also makes this text message, unlike Pop, I won't make you give half your salary, look a little more suspicious, doesn't it? The Biden family would go on to receive $1 million more this way, the same way, to the letter that it was done with the Chinese. Now, can I ask you a question? Do you have a lot of friends who have a maze of shady LLCs or a bunch of LLCs and they don't do anything with them? And do those LLCs receive money from foreign shell companies out of, well, one of the biggest money laundering areas is Cyprus? How many friends do you have that have a problem child, a crackhead family member, then do all of the business and have them, they've got a real problem, have them work on the deals and the money, and then funnel it through multiple hard-to-trace intermediaries that go down to the brothers and the wives and the grandkids, because I've never heard of that. If I heard anything like this from somebody that I considered a friend, I wouldn't be friends with them anymore. I would be asking a lot of questions. What exactly it is you do? I wouldn't want to get caught anywhere close to them, because there's only one reason people do business like this, and it is crime, corruption. Now, all of this is coming out as a whistleblower has come forward, claiming the FBI possesses the information that alleges then Joe Biden, the vice president, was involved in a criminal scheme with a foreign national relating to the exchange of money for policy decisions. Wow, there's a Pulitzer waiting for somebody. Where is the curiosity? Where is the honesty? I think the press is in way too deep. How can they seriously defend the fact that everywhere Joe goes to talk about corruption, his son is there side by side with him, connected to corruption in the same place? And then the entire family magically makes millions of dollars. It is absurd. Now, maybe a more important question, where is the action? Where is the Justice Department? Where is Congress? I applaud this disclosure. Now, what will Congress do about it? They must defund the Justice Department and FBI. It must happen. Now, there is something else that is interesting. You remember how the left works? Donald Trump's house was raided by the FBI. Joe did the same thing he was accused of. Where was the raid? Hillary Clinton did the same thing Trump is accused of with campaign finance violations. She paid a small fine, but the left weaponized a radical district attorney to haul Trump into court. Can I tell you something? We suck at this. We suck. We just expect things to go well and people be honest, and then they're not honest, and we're like, oh, gee, wow, that hurt. Check this out from a recent House oversight disclosure. Quote, the committee has uncovered evidence indicative of influence peddling and financial deception, warranting further investigation and legislative solutions. Influence peddling and financial deception. And all we're hearing about is potential legislative solutions? I mean, I'm all in for writing laws that ensure another Biden crime family is never allowed to engage in this kind of behavior. But who's going to do something right now about this problem? Where is the anti-Alvin Bragg? Someone that instead of using the justice system to persecute rivals, will instead just uphold the rule of law. Where is John Adams? A guy who actually defended the British soldiers after the Boston Massacre. That didn't make him popular, but he did it because we're either a nation of law and order or we are not a nation at all. So let's change this, shall we? Beginning tonight. Is Hunter Biden protected in the same way as children of Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro? His list of alleged crimes is worse than you think, but you can do something about it. Let's go there. Okay. The Durham report finally dropped on Monday afternoon. And it's everything you would expect from this government. It admits the FBI acted without any evidence. It concedes this is not the way it was supposed to be done. It describes a weaponized arm of the government that set out to persecute a private American citizen. It involved the director of the CIA, the FBI, the Obama administration, the Clinton campaign, and the mainstream media. It is 306 pages. And it was the culmination of everything we expected from the Russian hoax. It was a sham. It was a psyop. And despite multiple levels of government, Hillary Clinton and the media, look at what Durham suggested as the solution. Possible FBI reform. That's it? That's no conspiracy charges and nothing? Really? Well, why would we expect anything different from Durham? A, he's part of the system. If I give him the benefit of the doubt, what is he going to do about it? He says we have to change the hearts and minds of those who are in service and put them back in service to protect and defend the Constitution because they're not doing it now. It's the same road that we're on that I talked about earlier. There are entities in this country that are too big to fail. There are people who are just too big to jail. And if we want results, we have to lead the way. So let me ask you a question. Is Joe Biden's family better than your family? Would your son or daughter go to jail from criminal activity? Or would they not, just because of who they are? If they wouldn't go to jail for criminal activity just for the sole act of being born to the right people or right family, we have a real problem, now don't we? If you ask Vladimir Putin, he would say, yeah, no, my children are better and above the law. Ask Xi Jinping, Nicolas Maduro. They'd say exactly the same thing. I point this out because it goes to the core of institutional rot in every authoritarian country that has ever existed. When law and order means nothing, when you have two classes of people, when a political class rises above the people they claim to represent, and when the federal government weaponizes against their foes for persecution, when they shield those they deem protected, you've lost your country, and you become China, Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, name them. This is why we must hold Hunter Biden accountable and start with him. He is not above the law, and the families of politicians are not better than ours. I'm going to show you how to hold Hunter accountable and give you the tools to do it. But you've got to start right now. All of this information is available, again, in our Biden crime family dossier. You can access it by going to thereckoningguide.com. If you pull that up, you will see the Biden family alleged crimes that are primarily at the Department of Justice level. They are all there, and they are fully sourced. Now, I'm not going to focus on those. We saw how different the government treated Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump over basically the same crime. We've just witnessed how weak the response is from the Durham report. Do we really think the DOJ is going to do anything about any of these Biden family allegations? I'm not holding my breath. But these federal level crimes, again, are part of the government and media's misdirection. They would love us to zoom in and just look at that picture. Those are the cases they control. They can drag them and sweep it all under the rug. But what happens if you zoom out? The Marco Polo project on Hunter Biden's laptop notes over 170 crimes. 170 crimes. Clearly documented. We know the place and the date and everything. And they're spread out all over the country, in states that perhaps you're living in right now. So let me go over some of these crimes. This is the list and the states where some of these crimes happen. It is staggering. I haven't heard of nearly any of these. If the president's son is implicated in 170 crimes, why hasn't justice been done? I mean, it seems kind of relevant to the public, doesn't it? What the heck's going on here? Really? 170? I'm going to go through some of these, but you should follow along in our dossier. So let's go over the crimes state by state. I'm going to start in Arizona. By the way, this is a crack pipe. On October 27th, 2016, Hunter Biden, under the influence of crack, crashed his car on the way to rehab, then dropped off his second car at the rental facility near the airport. He accidentally left several items in the vehicle, including personal IDs, a crack pipe, and a baggie with cocaine. Now get this. Before the lab test even came in, proving that it was cocaine, both the city and county attorney said, we're not going to prosecute. Why? Would your family member ever get the same courtesy? Would you want the same courtesy? Hunter would later admit that, well, I had to write it in my book. It's chapter 8, my book, Beautiful Things. So we have an official record, we have proof, and a confession. What we don't have is justice. Ha! So what's up, Arizona? Is there anybody in Arizona that might be willing to say, you know, I'd like to take that crime on? If you live in Connecticut, It's going to get very busy in Connecticut. So many crimes here. I'm starting to wonder if there is actually a functioning justice system at all in Connecticut. I'll start with the drug crimes. February 2019, a female who is herself currently in jail for other crimes arranged a meeting with Hunter to bring him crack cocaine. Well, that's fantastic. Who doesn't like a little crack cocaine? Later in February 2019, texts show that Hunter was conversing with his drug dealer, showing he was consuming drugs and trafficking them as well. Hunter was pissed off that he was sold some drugs that were low quality. Who hasn't been there? Hunter's laptop clearly shows money transfers of over $1,400 and $1,500. March 2019, Hunter texts show that he ordered $400 worth of crack. I mean, at least the guy is good at keeping records. On that same day, Hunter's texts show him offering drugs to a female, then setting up sex and a drug romp with another woman. Have you heard of any of these? I mean, have you heard about the Connecticut sex crimes? Because sex crimes, wow. February 2019, Hunter solicits a woman for sex. Later the same night, after the woman leaves his room, Hunter solicits 2 more prostitutes through an online escort service. The energy he has is actually quite impressive. The very next day, Hunter solicits a 3rd prostitute. This particular lady of the evening instructs Hunter how to weed out the police. Later that day, Hunter solicits another prostitute at a casino, and then another one an hour later. Sky is remarkable. Then another who agrees to meet him at the Best Western Hotel. I mean, how comes to mind. February 13th, soliciting. February 14th, Hunter takes a video of him having sex with a prostitute and smoking crack. Money transfers show he paid the woman $1,500. February 17th, soliciting. Uber records show Hunter paid for their rides to come and meet him. Also later on the 17th, soliciting again. Uber records and a link to a Visa debit card to pay the prostitutes are described on the laptop. February 26th, guess. Yeah, soliciting. This is just Connecticut. Is there anyone in Connecticut that would like to maybe prosecute for a crime? Moving on to Delaware. Delaware, we could be here all night. June 2018, Hallie Biden pressures Hunter to procure crack cocaine for her. Just like they're in business together, well, they're sleeping together and doing crack cocaine. What a beautiful family. This was all caught on recorded phone calls. 2018, October, Hunter does a drug deal that ends at a 7-Eleven convenience store. Later in October, Hunter texts Hallie Biden that he's currently, quote, smoking crack on 4th and Rodney. That's great. December 2018, video evidence of Hunter naked smoking crack at a public spa. Later in December, a text message admitting to an unfair drug deal. March 2019, Hunter buys drugs from a registered sex offender. October 12, 2018, Hunter buys a gun. Well, he shouldn't have because, well, he had to lie a little bit on the application about his drug use, okay? October 23rd, 2018, Hallie throws Hunter's gun in the trash can at a grocery store. We need more gun laws. No arrests were made. And what's this? This list is not good for anything unless you had a few sex crimes in here. December 2018, photo evidence of a night with a prostitute and crack cocaine. January 2019, video evidence of prostitutes and crack cocaine. February, more video evidence of the same prostitute and the same drugs. Well, I mean new drugs because he had already smoked the other. If you live in Delaware, you've got your work cut out for you, I know. Probably not going to happen in Delaware. But how about Florida? Wow, Florida is an interesting case here. Because Florida You'd think there'd be somebody that was a prosecutor. They're like, you know what? I think we should prosecute for the 2016 March. Photos show Joe Biden's son-in-law, medical doctor Howard Crean, smoking a joint, violation of medical license regulations. December 2018. By the way, you might think that that's a little thing. Do you think if you were a doctor and you did this and it was on tape and they found out that they wouldn't come after you? December 2018, Hunter Biden sends money to a Ukrainian escort and pimp. The transfer was flagged by J.P. Morgan as possible human trafficking. By the way, these flags that the banks do, this is when they think there's money laundering or a crime being committed. They only issued 170 of these that we know of. 170 times the banks sent out an alert saying, we think something's wrong here. 170 times. Let's go to Massachusetts. November 2018, Hunter attempts to buy more crack. December 2018, Hunter sets up a drug deal and exchanges $1,200 for, I'm sure, a Beanie Baby collection. January 2019, another drug deal with a payment via PayPal. February 2019, video evidence of Hunter smoking crack at the Marriott Hotel and sex crimes. December 2018, video evidence and text messages prove Hunter solicited 2 prostitutes and did drugs with them at his property owned by his psychiatrist. By the way, where's #MeToo? Also in December, Hunter solicits another prostitute. She requests $1,000 as payment through Venmo. January 2019, Hunter solicits another prostitute. You know, he could hide all of these if he would use Bitcoin, because I hear the president says that's where the real crime happens. Video evidence was found on her OnlyFans account. You now have February 2019. Hunter attempts to solicit a prostitute but doesn't get a response. Nevada. August 2018, Hunter conducts a drug deal and pays the dealer $250. Also, August 2018, Hunter solicits a prostitute. August 7th, Hunter solicits another prostitute. Tennessee, October 2016, according to his own admission, written about in his memoir, Hunter Biden purchases crack cocaine in Nashville and drives under the influence. In Texas, December 2018, Hunter solicited a Texas woman for sex and paid her flight to the East Coast. She requested $1,000 in payment. In Virginia, June 8, 2018, Hunter takes pictures of himself driving around in Arlington, Virginia, smoking crack. Now, I don't know about you, but where I come from, that's against the law. Now, these are the crimes that we know about and have clear-cut evidence, like open and shut case here. I don't know how many more there are, but let me ask you, out of all of these, nobody prosecutes this. There's not one prosecutor out anywhere in the country that saw that crime come through and went, yeah, I don't care who he is. It's weird. They see the Biden name and immediately stop pursuing the case. We actually left off the crimes in places like New York and California because the institutional rot is so bad in those states, there's no way anything will ever be done. Do you think Alvin Bragg would prosecute Hunter Biden in Manhattan? Would Gavin Newsom allow anything like that to be done in California? Some of these states are just lost.